Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Are you looking for a non-factory job environment? Livingstone Freight Solutions is a 3PL company that began managing warehouses in Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. With our multiple shifts and experienced management team, our goal is to give you, as an employee, a safe family work environment and competitive wages. We offer a wide variety of employment opportunities from forklift drivers to management level positions. We also strive to offer a competitive benefit package and PTO options. For more information or to apply, visit us at livingstonefs.com or give us a call at 931-269-3255.
Why should you bank with Employee Resources Credit Union? We offer a wealth of services, including mobile banking, video banking, bill pay, and more. We also offer loan rates that are lower than those of our competitors. Employee Resources Credit Union has been a financial pillar since 1964, providing long-time support to members of the community. Join us and become part of the ERCU commitment, not for profit, for service.
Being raised in Tennessee, we believe in the importance of family and community. Creating a positive experience at our family-owned and operated business is one of the ways we share that belief.
Being in an accident can be extremely stressful. When it came time for my repairs, Mashburn's made it easy.
I am lucky to have a wonderful company in my community like Mashburn's Collision Center. It's reassuring to know that I'm in good hands because their work is second to none.
We pride ourselves that the Mashburn name is one of the most trusted in Lawrence County since 1981. Mashburn's Collision Center. Let our family take care of yours.
Shop McMaster's Home Gallery for furniture, appliances, and more. And shop quality, shop convenience, shop service, shop local. A family-owned business with a long history of serving the region. We're a one-stop home furnishings destination. We feature brands you know, competitively priced, backed by professional installation and service. You can trust that we'll take good care of you before and after the sale. For your home, shop smart. Shop McMaster's Home Gallery today.
Got primary care? Find your way to better health with primary care by One Stop Medical. With decades of combined experience, you'll find a one-on-one relationship just like the old days, but with the convenience and technology of today. When One Stop Medical does primary care, it's the best. Call today for an appointment and find your way to healthy living. Serving Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, and Hohenwald. Phone 931-244-8220. Primary care by One Stop Medical at its best.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome in everybody here to the X Sports Network on still a very chilly Thursday, and we have finally able to make it back into the office today, and why not, for an episode of Mark My Words as a X Sports Network's college sports show. So we will jump right into it because we have about a week of stuff to make up. Our last show was, I believe, last Friday, and I try to get back in as soon as I could. Today was that day, so we'll jump into it. So the NCAA has approved commercial jersey patches effective August 1st. I don't think this is going to be too big of a change. All it's going to do is bump up NIL money, obviously. And if there's a big college that has a company tied to it or something like that, like with BYU and Crumble Cookie, for example, or LSU and Raising Cane's. Little things like that. I'm not sure how many we'll see in this first year. I think we'll see some of the major universities obviously roll it out in some degree. Not really sure where we'll see things go from there. Obviously, gonna have to see it in the season, see what positives it brings, if there are any negatives, other than the fact that we've gone from this sport being purely amateurist to we're putting patches on there to make a little more money to buy more players. And speaking of buying more players, we'll turn things over to Ole Miss, where Clemson transfer linebacker Luke Farrelly has transferred to Ole Miss, and that got Dabo all fired up, as most things with the transfer portal do, except actually going to get kids out of the portal. Had some strong words about Pete Golding, about tampering. Listen, college sports is a mess, and not to say it wasn't competitive before then, because you hear all the stories of I don't remember I believe it was actually AJ McCarron telling the story of somebody was supposed to be at his house from Alabama watching, and Tennessee recruits snuck in the back window of his house or something like that. So not to say that college sports hasn't always been competitive, but we're getting to the point where coaches are like personally calling each other out, and I feel like that's probably but it just feels kind of wrong. So Sweeney says Golding texted Farrelly, "I know you've signed, but what is your buyout? I'm not going to let someone flat out tamper with my program. If you can tamper with my players, I'm going to turn you in. There's a lot more I can say, but I'm going to let the NCAA do its job." And as we've seen in other sports, the NCAA is not doing its job. So definitely going to be some some interesting things to come from this. Obviously, Ole Miss is not the only university that tampers, but you tampered with the wrong university, so to speak, with Clemson, because Dabo, he's not afraid to call you out. And there's a couple of other guys that are still kind of that age, that more of a mindset than an age, kind of like the Nick Sabans, the Kirby Smarts, the Kurt Signettis, that older kind of grizzled veteran, so to speak. Listen, if there's something that someone's doing wrong and they're not breaking the rules, themselves, they're going to call you out for it. Because if anybody's going to get an advantage over them, nobody's going to get an advantage over them. And if somebody is and they're breaking the rules and it's not something they're going to do, yeah, you're going to get turned in. Turned in for it. Former Colorado offensive tackle Jordan Seaton has committed to LSU. He was one of the top 4 or 5 players in the portal as an offensive lineman. He was a 5-star plus a couple of years ago. Let's pull up old Mr. Seaton, and had a very good start to his career at Colorado, but he kind of wised up and realized that he's not going to maximize his potential at Colorado. He's a 6'6", 335, 340-pound offensive tackle. Probably going to demand somewhere in the $3 to $5 million range, which for an offensive tackle is absurd. I'm surprised he didn't end up at a school like a Texas or a Texas A&M. LSU getting him has made them more interesting for this year because they have a mobile quarterback, but now they have an offensive line that can protect him too, so he won't have to use his legs too much. Ohio State is hiring former NFL head coach Arthur Smith to be their next offensive coordinator after former offensive coordinator Brian Hartline took the head coaching job at South Florida. So Ryan Day goes right back to the NFL Wells, similar to his move with Matt Patricia last season. I'm kind of twisted on where to go with this because I look at it as, okay, this is Arthur Smith. His offenses have been a snooze fest in the NFL over the past couple of years. Why is him taking the Ohio State job? I will say this, I'm going to put myself in an Ohio State fan's shoes. Okay, cool. We got Arthur Smith. He's an NFL-level guy. What does he bring to the table? Because the concern with NFL guys is they don't know how to recruit. And Brian Hartline was one of the best recruiters in the country. So you lose that. You're getting a guy whose offenses have, to be nice, have not fared well in the NFL. Let's look at Arthur Smith's kind of career timeline up to this point. So started... so he was actually started in college, right out of college at North Carolina as a GA. Went to the now Washington Commanders. Was at Ole Miss and then spent 2011 through 2020 with the Tennessee Titans, all the way from defensive quality control coach to offensive coordinator. Then the head coach of the Falcons for a couple of years, the OC of the Steelers the past 2 years, and now this fall going to be the offensive coordinator for Ohio State. listen, the Steelers' offense has not been anything to go on about over the past 2 years. I mean, it has been bad. But, you look at the move they made last year to bring in Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator, had spent time all across the NFL with his head coaching career hadn't gone great, but he was a great coordinator, and got to go to the college level and got to just coach up some kids, some really talented kids against teams that he's going to have the skill edge in, which is going to be the same thing for Ohio State offensively. I think Hartline's just making his job, or Ryan Day's just making his life easier, getting NFL level guys into his coaching staffs. But I'm gonna throw a little bit of gonna err on the side of concern with this one, just for the simple fact that now you have Julian Sand going into his third year of school under a third different regime. Was at Alabama, wasn't really a focal point, goes to Ohio State, becomes the focal point, and then now coming into this year, it's going to be with a completely different regime. So we'll see how Ohio State's offense looks this fall, but it's not like I think they're going to just completely fall off the map. It's still going to be Ohio State, and they're still going to be more talented than most teams that they play, probably every team that they play. But now we'll have to see if the coaching can catch back up. So Duke and quarterback Darian Mensah reached a settlement agreement, his agency announced Tuesday morning, allowing him to now transfer to wherever he wanted to. And within 12 hours, he had announced his commitment to Miami. Listen, Mensah is a uber-talented quarterback. We saw what he did at Tulane his freshman year, what he did at Duke last year. I mean, he won the ACC championship as a sophomore on a 7-5 team. I mean, I think that's beyond incredible. A 9-5 year for the Blue Devils this year, and it went incredible. And then some stuff with the transfer portal shakes out. It seems that Lane Kiffin pretty much just had every quarterback that he wanted in his hands and was just going to be able to pick and choose who got who, and it really messed things up for a collection of schools, mainly Miami and Tennessee. Into what are they going to do for quarterbacks now? Because Dante Moore goes back to Oregon. Raiola transfers to sit behind him. LSU gets like 3 or 4 different transfers. You get the guy from Elon. You get the backup from USC. You get Sam Levitt. At one moment you had Damon Williams. Before that, all got settled out. So really this boils down to Lane Kiffin's fault for everything. And even with this, it's crazy how far the dominoes can fall, but. Because Miami wasn't able to get a Sam Levitt or a Damon Williams or a Dylan Raiola or someone like that. They got to, go tamper and go get Mensah. And, since there's no rules about it, I don't think that there's a problem necessarily. Until we start breaking rules, that's when problems start rising. Kurt Cignetti's national championship game-worn headset has become available via auction on Indiana's NIL website. I believe it's bisondrop.com. There's 83 bids on it at the moment. 10 days, 6 hours, 17 minutes, and 13 seconds. So this will end at 6 p.m. in 10 days. Current bid, $16,000. I mean, just incredible. I mean, that is... Yeah, I mean, this is a game-worn headset. I think, and Indiana does have a really wide alumni base, and I think this is a great way to kind of expand on that. Now that we're good at football, here's a helmet from the championship game. Here's a headset. And we're going to use this to buy back into our program, and it gives these people a piece of memorabilia that you'll never forget. Because Indiana is the losingest program in college football history, and they just won a national championship. So I think that just kind of rest assured the narrative of you can win anywhere. It does not matter. You can win anywhere. So let's turn it over from the gridiron back to the hardwood. We've got a lot of college basketball to talk about, folks. So Charles Bediako, we'll start with this case. It's gotten every bit out of hand. I'm tired of it. I'm sure to some degree probably Alabama fans are getting tired of it. I know everybody that dislikes Alabama or has played Alabama or will play Alabama at least through February 6th are going to get tired of hearing about it. Because every time he checks in, thunderous applause. every other, I know at least SEC games, that's where I spent most of my time watching this weekend. I would assume probably some other games as well. Mentioned it every 5 seconds. Hey, the G League guy, Charles Bediako, is about to check into the game, or he's playing at Alabama on Tuesday. We'll have that game here on the blah, blah, blah. Listen, I get it. It's cool. It's interesting. It's new. But I don't think this is something we should be parading about. And I'm a big SEC guy. I don't think parading this around is a great thing, because we're looking at a coach who had a poorly constructed roster, had some injury problems, and he said, hey, I'm going to go grab this guy that I know has, that has been with our program, that knows how things are going. Because if you look at his usage from year to year, freshman year, 21-22 season, Alabama had a pretty good year that year. Second weekend team, 6 points, 7 points, 1.5 blocks, 4.3 rebounds, 60% from the line, 70% from the field, about 18 minutes a game. Okay, well, next year, 6.4 points, 1.8 blocks, 6 rebounds, 35% from the free throw line, and 66% from the field. So, goes undrafted in 2023, plays in the G League for the 23-24 season, plays in the G League again for the 24-25 season, and in at least 10 games in the 25-26 season before coming back to college, and now he's averaging 13.5 points, 1 block, 5 rebounds, 90% from the line, shooting 80% from the field, playing a career-high 23 minutes a game. And nobody sees a problem with this? Now, Alabama's had mixed results. In one game, they beat Missouri by 26. Another game, they lost to Tennessee by 6. So it brings in some interesting questions. But quite honestly, I'm just a little tired of hearing about it. And now, due to some issues with the NCAA and the Tuscaloosa court, the restraining order for Bediako has been extended 10 more days, now running through February 6th. Prior to the Alabama's matchup with Auburn, the NCAA filed a motion for Judge James Roberts, the judge that signed this TRO, to recuse himself from this lawsuit after it was discovered that Roberts was an Alabama donor, and he has recused himself. So I think that this probably now leans in the favor of the NCAA, that it's not going to be an Alabama donor as the judge, which I think makes things a little fair, because, listen, this is not hey, this guy made a bad choice, and this is hey, this guy made a bad choice that hundreds of other, well, I'm not going to say hundreds, but plenty of other people have made throughout the history of college basketball since the NBA has implemented the one-and-done rule, and it will continue to happen until the NBA does away with that, that I made a mistake, a really big mistake, and now I have a chance to go back and right that wrong, but also help this college that I played for years ago win more games. And I think that's what everyone's problems is that this dude signed multiple G League contracts. But again, the guy from Baylor did the same thing, but the guy from Baylor, Nanji, isn't playing all these minutes for Baylor. I'm going to pull up his actual stats on the year. James Nanji has played in 7 games, is averaging 1.4 points in 11 minutes, 3 rebounds, 66% from the field, 40% from the line, has not shot a 3. So, yeah, he's getting 8th most minutes on his team. Bediako is the first big man off the bench for Alabama and would probably start if it wouldn't get even more, I guess you could say bad looks. But, folks, this Alabama team, it's not like they're struggling necessarily in the post. I mean, you got Amari Allen, who did not play in that game against Tennessee. But you got Amari Allen averaging 8 rebounds a game. Aiden Sherrill can jump out of the gym, and he's nearly a 7-footer. Taylor Bowen, he's close to a 7-footer. London Jemison, he was in foul trouble, but 6'9", 6'10". You're not at a disadvantage for size. You just didn't like the guys you brought in, because funny enough, you slide down to Noah Williamson, the senior from Latvia that you brought in from Bucknell in the offseason. He's done nothing. I mean, I hope this kid didn't get too much NIL money because you just got robbed. Kid was averaging 17 points and 8 rebounds a game at Bucknell last year, and now in the SEC he's averaging a double-double with 2 points and 2 rebounds. Just not good. So now let's go look at some games from the past weekend and into this week, because we've had some great action in college basketball all around, from top to bottom, from the ACC to the SEC to the Pac-12, Pac-2, whatever you want to call it. So we'll go back to Friday. Let me find the right Friday. Top 25 on Friday. That would be, man, why is my calendar all jacked up? We are looking for Friday the 23rd. And there we go. So St. Louis Billikens put it on the Bonnies 97-62. And I'll tell you, I found one of my favorite players in college basketball in this game. His name is Ishan Sharma from Milton, Ontario, Canada, a sophomore. He's averaging about 9 points per game. 9 for 12 from 3 off the bench. Was awesome to see. And St. Louis looks like by far the best group of 5 team, or I'm not going to say group of 5, but mid-major in college basketball. Michigan 74-62 over Ohio State. On to Saturday. Now we'll start in the ACC, where Duke took down Wake Forest 90-69. Quick look at the box score. Duke Harris 23 points for Wake Forest, but Cam Boozer, man, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and only 1 turnover. If this guy's putting up dumb numbers like that, and with 6 turnovers, I'd say okay, there might be a problem there. But he's not turning the ball over, which is crazy. UNC a big win, 85-80 against Virginia. And I'll tell you, getting Seth Trimble back has been huge for the Tar Heels. He goes for 16 points, 5 rebounds in that game. Derek Dixon, 11.7 assists. Caleb Wilson, 20 points. And then Jaron Stevenson, 17 off the bench. Luka Bogovac, 14 off the bench. Virginia didn't play bad either. DeRitter with 20, Lewis with 11, Malik Thomas with 11 as well. And then, again, off the bench with Chance Mallory, 11 points. And I'm telling you, if you haven't got a chance to watch this kid yet, dude, he is extremely fun to watch. Struggled a bit in this game, had some turnover problems, but, man, he is, again, he's a blast to watch. Clemson over Georgia Tech, 77-63. Clemson, again, proving to be one of the better defensive teams in the ACC, because right now, I mean, you got a couple of guys giving you about 10 points. Jake Wallen had 13, Dylan Hunter with 12, and then Nick Davidson and Ace Buckner with 25 combined off the bench. Pitt falls to NC State 81-72. Then Allen Lubin, another double-double for the Wolfpack, 17 and 12, and he's averaging almost a double-double on the season, though. The senior out of Orlando, 14 and 8 on the season for him. Paul McNeil gives you 15 points. And I'll tell you, this is an interesting collection of transfers. And McNeil's not. He's a sophomore. He's been on the team. But, Will Wade goes and gets Darion Williams from Texas Tech, who had spent a couple of years there. Goes and gets Vin Allen Lubin, who had been all over the place. UNC, Vanderbilt, Notre Dame. Goes and gets Trey Holloman from Michigan State. And then maybe... Well, you could say, at least this year, has been the biggest pickup was Kadir Copeland, bringing him over with you from McNeese. I mean, he's been awesome. He had 20 points, 9 assists in that game. NC State looking pretty good in the ACC. Miami, 85-76 win over Syracuse. Louisville gets Michael Brown back in an 85-71 win over Virginia Tech. Brown wasn't necessarily the focal point in this game. Did not lead the team in shots, but ended up leading the team in scoring with 20 points, 6 assists. Sanaja Frew, 13 and 10. Good to see him back in the scoring column. Ryan Conwell, a bit of a slow game with 15 points. Javon Hadley with 14. The Cardinals kind of teetering. Are they good or are they not? Well, I think that was a pretty good win over a tough Virginia Tech team. SMU only a 3-point win over Florida State, who has started to look a lot better in conference play. Notre Dame a 4-point win over Boston College, and Cal a 78-66 win over Stanford. 18 points from Justin Pippen, 25 from John Camden, 11 from Day-Day Ames. Now on to the Big Ten. Did they have any games on this Saturday? They did. Nebraska, a 19-point victor over Nebraska, 76-57 over Minnesota. Price Sanford, 22 points, 10 rebounds. He's awesome. Jamarcus Lawrence, 14 points. Sam Hoiberg, 14 points. Burke Butensil, 8.7 rebounds for Nebraska. Rank Moss, 8.6 rebounds. They don't use the bench a whole lot, Nebraska, but the 5 guys they put out there, uber efficient. Michigan State handled business against Maryland, 91-48. Got a big game from really the entire starting lineup. I mean, I think Jeremy Fears had the coolest stat line ever, 17 points, 17 assists. I mean, it's 2026, and we got guys putting up double-digit assists. I think it's awesome to see. Probably one of the very few guards in the country. Well, I would say he's second in the country in assists. I was going to say one of the very few guards that's probably averaging close to double-digit assists, and right now 8.9. Colin Carr with 14, Carson Cooper with 14, Jackson Kohler 11 and 8. A great win for Michigan State there. Illinois, a huge win over Purdue in a Saturday that was dominated by the freshmen. We'll get to that a little bit more as we go along. Keaton Wagler, 46 points, 13 of 17 from the field, 9 of 11 from the three-point line, and 11 of 13 from the free throw line. And really nobody else from Illinois did anything, but they didn't have to because that dude was on one. And Braden Smith, he put up 27 points, 12 assists, and 1 turnover, and lost at home. Now, that's partially because he didn't get any help. Fletcher Lawyer, 6 points. Trey Kaufman-Wren, 12 points. You're going to have to get a lot more from your starters if you want to win that one. UCLA winners at home against Northwestern, 71-64. Now on to the Big 12, who had a collection of great games on Saturday. We'll start with the best one of them all. Texas Tech takes down Houston 90-86. And listen, we knew the Red Raiders were probably going to give it back to Houston at home after what happened to them last time. And another freshman going off alert. Kingston Flemings, 42 big ones. 15 of 26 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3, and 8 of 10 from the line. 6 assists as well. He led the team in assists. He had 6 of their 9 assists and 42 of their 86 points. 20 points from Emmanuel Sharp, but really other than that, nobody else took shots. Sharp took 16, Flemings took 26, the rest of the team 18. Not a great distribution there. Toppin goes for 31 and 12. He's a beast inside. Christian Anderson, 12 points, 9 rebounds. Had a bit of a turnover problem, but was still spreading the ball around. Donovan Atwell had 18. Jalen Petty had 18, and nobody else really needed to do anything. Great win there for Texas Tech. Arizona, 35-point win over West Virginia. Oklahoma State falls at home to Iowa State. Momcilovic, 29 and 7. Joshua Jefferson, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 9 and 9 from Blake Buchanan. Tamron Lipsey, 13 and 5. I tell you, anytime Iowa State's on, I'm going to watch him. Love TJ Altenberger and his squad. Kansas, 86-62 winners over Kansas State. I was assured that Kansas State was going to win this game, and P.J. Haggerty played like it. The rest of the team, though, for the Wildcats, not so much. Only other player in double figures is Andrej Kostic, who had 12 points off the bench. Nothing, really, from anybody else in the starting lineup. Floyd Badunga, 21 and 12, 17 points, 12 assists, 1 turnover for Melvin Council. Trey White had 13 points, and then Elmarco Jackson, 19 points off the bench. Awesome for the Jayhawks as they are looking really good in conference play. Now on over to the Big East. We didn't play too many games on Saturday, only 4. UConn, 75-67 winners over Villanova in overtime. I thought Villanova would be the only team in the Big East that would give them problems, but Tyler Perkins, 16 points, Duke Brennan, 16 points, Matt Hodge with 12, Devin Askew with 13, but the guards for UConn, and even the big men, honestly, you could go top to bottom, but really, I think it was the guards. Caravan, Demery, Ball were awesome, and UConn kind of just hanging around until it's kind of, I would say, tournament play time. Rick Pitino gets win number 900 over his son, Richard Pitino, 88-83 there in the Centile Center in Cincinnati. St. John's, 15-5. Hey, listen, the Red Storm have been awesome since Big East play. I started 8-1 in the conference. Dylan Mitchell, 17 points. Doobie Ejiofor, 13-11. 18 points and 8 rebounds for Bryce Hopkins. 16 points for Ian Jackson. This team's starting to disperse. They're scoring a lot more, and they look like a much better team because of it. Georgetown had a 3-point win over Providence. DePaul, a 7-point win over Seton Hall, as Seton Hall has really struggled in Big East play. Now on over to the SEC for some action that happened last Saturday, and we had some good ones. Tennessee and Alabama. We'll talk about this one first because it was the last game of the day on ESPN. Now, I didn't have the big-time commentators, but boy, it had that big-time game feel. Anytime these two teams meet in Coleman Coliseum at night, it's got a big game feel, and this one had every bit of it. Nate Ament, remembered he was a 5-star freshman and one of the best players in the country. Potential-wise, I'm not saying he is, but potential-wise, and goes for 29 points, another one of those excellent freshmen. 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Felix Okpara, 5 and 8. I tell you, Jacoby Gillespie, though, 24 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. He was great. Bishop Boswell, he's become a very good kind of third or fourth option in that starting lineup, averaging about 7 points a game. Not much help from the bench, but you didn't need it because the defense was awesome. LeBaron Philon was amazing, I tell you. This is one of the best point guards in the country. 26-7 on only 3 turnovers, and he was being hounded by whoever. I know most of the game it was Bishop Boswell guarding him, but whoever he had guarding him did a great job. Bediako, listen, first game back in college in 3 years, 2.5 years, give or take. I think he looked comfortable. It looked like a guy that's played pro basketball for a couple of years because the game looked faster. It looked like he was moving faster. It looked like the game was moving slower for him. And he's going to be a big help for Alabama down the stretch. Kentucky 72-63 over Ole Miss. Vandy 88-56 winners over Mississippi State. Texas a 20-point win over Georgia 87-67. I don't get Texas, man, because one day you think they're awful, and the next day Mark goes for 23, Swain 26, Pope 14, Vocatitis 14, and you go beat Georgia at home by 20. A&M 92-69 over South Carolina. I want to see how many turnovers South Carolina had, because the turnover numbers that this team forces, well, it wasn't even, it was 10-9. They didn't, but the pressure though, buckyball, it's a pain. Missouri hits the buzzer beater 3 to win at Oklahoma, 88-87. Auburn victors over Florida, 76-67, because of course they won that game. And like I said, it wasn't Auburn was going to win this game because Florida looked awesome. Auburn had looked very inconsistent, and that's why Auburn won. And another reason Auburn won was because they have Keyshawn Hall. 24-7. Keyshawn Murphy goes for 16-9. A great day for the Auburn offense. and their defense as well, holding Florida to 67 points. I mean, that takes some talent because this Florida offense had looked unstoppable. Alex Condon did nothing. He played 37 minutes with 1 point. You're 7 feet tall. Thomas Houck, 27-10. Ruben Chinulu, 10-7. Did not allow the big guys to get going inside. And Flandon and Xavier Lee had their first games where they looked human again and started missing some shots. That's the recipe for a loss. This game, a lot closer than it really felt like it should have been. Arkansas, 85, LSU, 81. A great win for Arkansas. Darius Acuff, probably locked up SEC Player of the Year. 31 points, 6 assists. He is awesome. Malik Thomas, 14 points. This Arkansas team, it was Nick Pringle. It was Trevin Brazile. It was Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, DJ Wagner at the beginning of the season. Acuff, Thomas have come on so well as the season has gone on. And another guy that has been playing really well, Malik Ewan, the senior. Transferred in from Florida State last year where he was a 14-8 kind of guy. Isn't going to be that on this team, but is providing what Arkansas needs to make a second, third weekend run in the tournament. We will move back to the AP Top 25. Do we have any big action on Sunday? Washington over Oregon, 72-57, and then a couple of games like Purdue, Fort Wayne, IU, Indy, St. Francis, New Haven, and Southern Illinois and Evansville all got postponed. USC 73-71 over Wisconsin. Now on to Monday. Couple of games. Duke and Louisville, a top 20 matchup inside Cameron, and It didn't look like it. Took 83-52. It was a 10-point game at halftime. It was a 31-point game when they blew the final horn. Cam Boozer, 19-10. Patrick Gongba, 15-5. Isaiah Evans had 15 points. Nicholas Kaminia, 14 points off the bench. Even Caden Boozer looked good. 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists for the freshman. Arizona and BYU heavyweight matchup, and it delivered. Arizona 86, BYU 83. And AJ DeMonta was coming off a game on Saturday against Utah that I did not talk about, where he had 43 points. I mean, a crazy Saturday. I mean, you had Kingston Flemings, Keaton Wagler, and AJ DeMonta all go for 40. You had Acuff go for 30. You had I don't think he went for 30, but Boozer had a great game. Nate Ament went for 29. I mean, the freshman on Saturday really shined. But this game on Monday, DeMonta looked really good. Richie Saunders, 18 points, 9 rebounds. But Robert Wright was off. And, if he's on, they win that game. Kennard Davis filled in great, but Wright was off. Turnover numbers were up. And that was kind of the problem there. Late in this one, listen, Toby Awaka is huge off the bench for Arizona. That physicality, they're all big and physical. Jaden Bradley goes for 26. Braden Burry's 29. Pete and Karchenkov both go for 10. Great win on Monday night. There by don't know Arizona. Slipped my name. They're the number 1 team in the country. So we will now. Well, the rankings came out a little bit before them, but we will look at our new AP Top 25. This was the one going into this week, and it's got some interesting moves to it. I'll go to the actual website so I can tell you how much the teams have moved. I believe we have a Week 12 poll. There we go. So we'll start at the back at 25. Just missing by about 50 votes. Tennessee is the first team out. Kentucky and Georgia 1 spot under them. St. John's back in at number 25. Miami, Ohio up 1 spot to 24. Bama drops 6 spots to number 23. I don't really know how a 13-6 team is ranked at this point in the year. You've lost more than half of your games, or I'm not going to say you've lost more than half of your games, but you've lost about half as many games as you've won. That's a 20-10 team that doesn't. I mean, those are fringe tournament teams, not fringe ranked teams. Clemson down 4 spots to 22. Again, I think the ACC gets disrespected a little bit because now you have teams like Louisville who are 14-5 and looked nowhere near as consistent as Clemson has in conference play, and they're up 3 spots. At number 21, St. Louis, the Billikens look awesome. I mean, you remember Robbie Avila from Indiana State a couple years ago? Well, he's on that St. Louis team, and they're awesome. Louisville up 3 spots to number 20. Florida down 3 spots to 19. Vandy down 3 spots to 18. And another thing I don't get: Florida 14-6, Vandy 17-3. What are we doing? And I would be, a little more. Florida beat Vanderbilt. Why isn't Florida ranked above Vanderbilt? And there's about a 90 vote difference, so a sizable gap. Virginia at number 17, North Carolina at 16, 1 spot above them. Arkansas at 15, up 5 spots, as well. Kansas at now at number 14. They got BYU on Saturday, and the aforementioned Cougars right there at number 13, number 12. Purdue, they've lost 3 in a row. They dropped 8 spots. They've struggled. Texas Tech up 1 spot. And funny enough, there's another example right there of Texas Tech is ranked higher than Purdue, despite Purdue beating Texas Tech. And another example, Houston 1 spot above Texas Tech at number 10, when we literally just saw Texas Tech beat them on Saturday. Illinois in the single digits now at number 9. This is looking like some of those teams with Kofi Coburn, those Illinois teams, and that's going to be great for Illinois. I mean, I think they solidified themselves as a top 3 team in the Big Ten. So yeah, 2020, 2021, they were number 2 in the last AP poll, but went 24-7. Iota Sumu, I remember him, yep, and that was a fun team to watch, and I think they're getting right back up to that level. I really do. They're dominant inside, they're dominant outside. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you got Wagwer that can go give you 40. I think Stojakovic has had a bit of a down season, but he can go give you whatever, whenever. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too crazy to see what this Illinois team could do. Iowa State at number 8, up 1 spot. Up 3 spots to number 7 is Michigan State. At number 6 at 21-1, Gonzaga. And it's crazy because they're, a 40-point loss away from being undefeated. It's crazy that they're 21-1 and their one loss is by 40 points. Nebraska at 20-0 up to number 5. Duke at number 4 at 18-1. Michigan at number 3 at 18-1. UConn at 19-1, number 2, and Arizona at 20-0 at number 1. So that was our top 25. We will continue to go through some games here. We'll go back into the ACC on Tuesday. You had Pitt over Wake Forest 80-76. Virginia taking down Notre Dame in double overtime 100-97. A great win for the Cavaliers, proving that they can put up points. I mean, you have Ritter 32-8. Sam Lewis 21-9 off the bench. Tillis gives you 12. Mallory gives you 17. Just a great game. Notre Dame's got their scorers as well. Cole Serta 34 points. Wow, and that's a sophomore. and Serta was a 2-point per game. We played like 10 minutes a game for Notre Dame last year. Played 34 minutes last night and looked like their best player. Jalen Harrelson 20 points, 16 and 10 for Brady Kohler. Braden Shrewsbury goes for 18. Listen, the points were there. The defense was not. NC State a 20-point win over Syracuse. Virginia Tech 71-65 over Georgia Tech. We'll jump on over back to the Big Ten on Tuesday. Rutgers took Michigan State to overtime, wasn't able to get the win. Michigan State 88-79 winners at Rutgers. Fears goes for 29. 12 and 14 from Carson Cooper. Cohen Carr 13-8. Jackson Kohler struggles from shooting from outside. 12 points, 4 rebounds for him. It's kind of a collective effort from Rutgers. 23 points from Tariq Francis, 16 from Harun Zerno, and then out of the starting lineup, Dalen Buchanan 14 points, 15 points from JaMychal Davis, 11 from Dylan Grant. But the problem is, other than those 5 guys I named, not a point scored. At least when you look at Michigan State, I didn't mention Divine Ojukwu. He had 9.6 rebounds, 6 assists. Jordan Scott off the bench was 7 points, 4 rebounds, 4 points, and 1 assist for Kurtz Hang. Cam Ward coming off the bench for Michigan State. Just 3 assists, but listen, he got some rebounds, looked good. It's all about coming off the bench and providing proving your worth, your role. And Purdue lost again. While we were talking to Indiana, can't lose to an in-state foe, especially an Indiana team that has struggled like they have this year. Trey Kaufman ran 23 points. Braden Smith, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 turnovers. If your guy that's not supposed to turn the ball over is turning the ball over, you're going to struggle. And then Lamar Wilkinson can go off at any moment. Him and Nick Dorn combined for 37. A great win there for Indiana. On over to the Big 12 on Tuesday. No big games. West Virginia 59-54 over Kansas State. UCF 79-76 over Arizona State. And over to the Big East, where on Tuesday, UConn had another close call there with Providence, 87-81, the victors there. And listen, this UConn offense, man, they're putting up some points in bunches. Solo Ball, 17 points. Silas Demery with 15. Terrace Reed with 19. And then off the bench, Eric Reeby with 14 and 8. Malachi Smith, 12 and 7. Good win as the Huskies move to 10-0 in Big East play. Now on over to the SEC, where we had a couple of games on Tuesday. Again, a lot did end up getting moved to Wednesday. Oklahoma, 83-79 winners over, Arkansas, 83-79 winners over Oklahoma. Darius Acuff, 23-9, no turnovers, 16 points from Malik Thomas. Carter Knox into double figures. Malik Ewan, 12 points, 4 rebounds off the bench. Oklahoma's got a really good starting lineup. and they all almost scored in double figures. Mohamed Wagyu, 9 points, 12 rebounds, 14 and 3 from Tate Davis, 12 points from Darion Reed, 13 from Xavier Brown, 22 points from Nigel Pack, but just not enough to shut down the Razorbacks. Good win there for Arkansas. Alabama gets back on the right side of things, a 90-64 win over Missouri, and convincing fashion, man. Charles Bediako, 14 points in the starting lineup. LeBaron Philon, 18 points and 6 assists. 21 points for Latrell Reitzel, who was killing it from downtown, had 7 threes. Alabama hit 15 as a team. And that's what makes them so dangerous. Mark Mitchell, who had been such a sure big man, really, for this team all year, 11 points, 5 rebounds. Sean Phillips didn't look great either, 10 and 8. Missouri, by far their worst conference loss of the year. And Vandy, Kentucky have been doing this thing where they get down in the first half and then play awesome in the second half. And Vandy said, you're going to get down big in the first half and we're just going to keep our foot on your throat. It's pretty much what happened. Vandy 80-55 winners over Kentucky. Tyler Tanner with 19 points. Devin McLaughlin 11 and 12. Tyler Nickel with 19 points. 11 off the bench from Mr. Chandler Bing. Does not like Friends, or did not watch the show Friends. I believe that was his fun fact. Otega Owe with 20, and probably the dumbest highlight of all time with him, and I believe it was Moreno off a missed free throw. Moreno threw it into Owe, and Owe's like, no, and then stepped out of bounds to throw it back into Moreno. Was called out of bounds, obviously, and then the ball turned back over to Vanderbilt. But I don't see the point in that, because if Owe goes out of bounds and throws it into Moreno, Moreno's just going to tap it back to Owe. Moreno is your big man. He's a 7-footer. Owe is going to be your guard. What are we doing? And lots is games like this are when you wonder, boy, I bet teams like Mississippi State, teams like LSU, teams like Tennessee, teams like Texas are embarrassed that they lost to this team. And rightfully so. Because Kentucky's this close to not having a single conference win. They haven't really had a dominant win other than that Mississippi State one a couple weeks ago, which Kentucky had been good at stopping the guard play in that game, and they were not in this one, and that's why Vanderbilt looked so great. We'll hop on over now to Wednesday, last night, where we had some action all across the country, really. So we'll start in the ACC. Just 2 games. Florida State getting a win over Cal, 63-61 there. And listen, Florida State gets their second ACC win. Cal has really struggled. And again, Pippen and Ames can only do so much for this team. And it's not enough to get them over Florida State. Miami, winners over Stanford, 79-70. Canes 6-2 in conference play. Got a big game from Malik Reno, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Ibuka Okori had a slow game, and he's had a couple slow ones as of late. Coming off that 36-point performance against UNC, 9, 14, 19. He's getting back to his ways of those 30-point games every once in a while, and Stanford's going to need him 3 and 5 in ACC play. The Big Ten had a couple of games on Wednesday. Iowa, 73-72 winners over USC. Listen, for the Trojans, Cam Woods drops 33, and Chad Baker-Mazara scored half of his age, which you would think, man, that's not a great game, but when you consider the fact that he's 26 years old, 13 points isn't bad, but it is in a game that you lose by 1 point, one guy having 7 of your team's 15 turnovers. Now, the other team had the same amount of turnovers, but they also didn't have one guy have 7 of them. For Iowa, Bennett Sturts, 20 points, and Tavion Banks, 20 more points. Those two were on fire. Alvaro Fogleras, 14 points and 5 rebounds off the bench for Iowa, and a great win there. Wisconsin went over Minnesota. UCLA winners over Oregon. Now into the Big 12, we had a fun matchup last night in Houston over TCU, 79-70. An offensive game played, and it's weird to see Houston playing one of those. Kingston Flemings is still going, though. 27 points for the freshman, 23 for Emmanuel Sharp, and he was doing it from all 3 levels. Usually just a 3-point shooter, but was stretching the floor and getting inside, driving, doing what he needed to do. 8 points, 14 rebounds for Chris Signac Jr. As for TCU, 18 points from Xavier Edmonds, 16 from David Punch. and they got a lot of help from elsewhere, but you got to get a 20-point per game score if you're on this team. You know, a 12-point per game guy leading you, 14-point per game guy leading you. Yeah, it's the reason they're 3-5 in conference play. If you put a 20-point per game guy on that team and take away, we'll say, really Edmonds Edmonds is more of a kind of a post player. So we'll say, Punch is more of a wing player. Give them like a Cam Booz or something like that. That TCU team is unbelievable. Into the Big East. 20-point win for 25th ranked St. John's as they get a 92-70 win over Butler. Michael Ajayi goes for 19 and 12, but not much help from him for Butler. Dylan Mitchell, 14 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists. Zuby Ejiofor, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 18 from Ian Jackson. 13 off the bench for Josan Sanon, and a good win for St. John's. Now, over Seton Hall, 18-point winner over Xavier, and Georgetown winners 70-61 over DePaul. Now into the SEC for our last conference. Before we look at some conference standings and kind of break down where everybody's at right now, Tennessee 86-85 winners over Georgia in overtime, a game that got pushed from Tuesday to Wednesday. 19.6 rebounds for Nate Ament, 6 points, 11 rebounds for Felix Okpara, 17 points, 9 rebounds for J.P. Estrella, 21 points for Jacoby Gillespie, 13 and 10 from Bishop Boswell, as he goes for his second double-double in, I believe, as many weeks. Had a 13-point, 11-rebound game in Tennessee's last overtime win. So if you're going to play a couple extra minutes, Boswell going for a double-double. That's pretty much what I've gotten from this one. Cannon Catchings, I believe he's the nephew of Tamika Catchings, who, one of the jerseys in the rafters in Knoxville. Yeah, so Cannon Catchings is the nephew of Tamika Catchings. So kind of some fun way to look at things there, and maybe something to keep an eye on. Catchings is a sophomore from Indiana, but hits the transfer portal. Maybe wants to come to Knoxville. I wouldn't hate it for the 6'9" sophomore. We'll take another wing player. But man, Georgia, unfortunate there at the end. Smurf Millender had an awesome game. I mean, was shooting it, was driving, was doing everything for his team. And they get the ball with about 15 seconds left. He's trying to get the ball from fellow guard Blue Kane. Funny enough, another person with connections to Knoxville went to Knoxville Catholic. And, it takes probably 4 or 5 seconds longer for him to get the ball than he thought. And then he isolates for about 5 seconds. Well, you're down to about 6 seconds now. Then he drives. And Tennessee, smartly up 3, just lets him go, does not foul, and lets him hit a layup with a second to go. And now Georgia's down 1, and there's 0.6 left. All you got to do is throw it off somebody's foot, throw it off their forehead. That game was over. And the big thing with this one, it was a huge disparity in rebounding. Tennessee out-rebounded Georgia 52-27. I have never seen a team get twice as many rebounds. 26 offensive, 26 defensive, dominant on both ends, almost 20 more offensive rebounds. And that was the kicker right there, because that simple fact allowed Tennessee to take 10 more shots. Tennessee made the same amount of shots as Georgia, but Tennessee had 10 more shots. That's why they won the game. And again, hit the same amount of field goals, hit the same amount of three-pointers, and hit one more free throw. And their free throw shooting was not good either. Georgia was 70%, Tennessee 60%. Got to get those free throw numbers up. Tennessee shot worse all the way across. You look at, except three-pointers, they actually made the same amount and took less. But what a great win for the Vols, and I think that's probably good enough to get them back in the top 25, but they do get a game Saturday that we'll get into here in a second. Mississippi State winners over LSU 80-66. A game that got a little closer in the second half, but one that was really over from the start. Hubbard 15, Quincy Ballard 13-9, 11 points for Jabari McGee. LSU, it sucks to see them struggle coming off of a game that they played on Saturday. Now, one good thing to look at, McKinnon gets you 15 points, Dylan Thomas, 14 points. So you do have some positive things to look at. Rashad King, 14 points off the bench. Heading into the weekend, 88-82 winners, Auburn over Texas. Auburn's quietly won 4 in a row and have become one of the hotter teams in the SEC. Dalen Swain goes for 30, but, man, when you have two guys for Auburn, Keyshawn Hall, 31 points, Kevin Overton, 25 points. Those two guys ain't going to miss. It's going to be tough. And, I'm really looking back at least just the stat sheet, wasn't able to watch this full game. I feel bad for Todd Pettiford, man. He was going to be the number one option on this team coming into the year. And then Bruce Pearl retires or resigns, whatever he officially did. Stephen Pearl resumes his position. And Pettiford's an afterthought on this team, man. Was going to be coming in as one of the higher-ranked players in the country. Had scored over 20 points, 4 times this season, and has not scored over 20 points. He scored over 20 points once in conference play, and that was the opener. And in conference play, he's looked bad. I mean, let's just look at how it is. Now, Keyshawn Hall is top 10 in the country in scoring per game, and has only gone in single digits once in SEC play, and that was a game he only played 14 minutes. And, that was one of Auburn's struggle games. But, man, I mean, you look at him, and this is just in conference play. Points, 20. And, I'll add this together just to throw together an average real quick for you. So, in conference play, he has scored 20 against Georgia, 32 against A&M, 32 against Arkansas, 10 against Missouri, 8 against South Carolina, 19 against Ole Miss, 24 against Florida, and then 31 last night against Texas. Divide that by the 8 games they have played. He's averaging 22 points per game in conference play, which is awesome. Florida played a basketball game at Colonial Arena last night. I don't know if South Carolina did. Final score, 95-48. Fun fact, Florida scored 48 points in each half, pretty much. 48 in the first, 47 in the second. South Carolina struggled to do that in the entire game. Condon almost goes for a triple-double, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Houck with 18 points, Chinyalu 14 and 11. This is one of those where nobody really had a great game, and not much worth to talk about for South Carolina. I mean, Eli Ellis had 13 here, 48 points. Mishi Johnson had 10 more. A struggle for South Carolina as they fall to 2-6 in conference play. So let's look at some standings. Let's look first at the SEC because we're talking about them. So still with only one conference loss, A&M 16-4 overall. Arkansas, Florida, Vanderbilt right behind them, with Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee and Alabama nibbling on their toes. Listen, I think the SEC is as open as it's been all year right now. If you can get one of those top 8 seeds, the bye in the conference tournament, good luck, because all 8 of those teams are good. Now, again, I think Kentucky's a bit skewed because you look at some of their losses this year, and they're really bad. And you look at some of their wins, and they're really good. So it's kind of conflicting things. Then, man, A&M sitting there banging their head over that 5-point loss in Knoxville. What could have been? But, hey, that's a really great win for Tennessee heading into, you move from January to February to March. Vols 10-1 at home. Arkansas hadn't been beat at home. You look at this. The SEC team that has been beaten the most at home this year is South Carolina, 10-4. You got 7-4 Mississippi State, 9-3 Texas, 9-3 LSU, 7-3 Alabama. But you look at the top of the conference, man. You got 10-1 Tennessee at home, 9-1 Auburn at home, 10-1 Vandy at home, Florida 9-1 at home, Arkansas perfect at home. A&M only been beaten once at home. Protecting home court is the key to success in the SEC. Now to the ACC standings, where it is Duke, and it feels like a big gap. But let's talk about some teams on the back half of that gap. I think you're looking at a Clemson team that's been very strong this year, and I think you're looking at a Virginia team that has also been very strong. Miami, give or take, has been right there with them, as has NC State. After that, I think you start getting into some very inconsistent teams like North Carolina, like Virginia Tech, like Louisville, like Stanford. Those teams can be good, but it's going to struggle until you can find some consistency. Right now, it is still Duke and then everybody else. Let's hop on over to the Big Ten, though, where, another conference is as open as it's been all season. Listen, you got Michigan at the top, Nebraska right below them after that loss on Tuesday. Michigan State one conference loss, Illinois, 8-1 in conference play. Then you go a gap, no 2-loss teams, but then you go to the 3-loss teams of Purdue, Wisconsin, UCLA. Again, this is another conference I think it's worked itself out pretty well. I think that those 4 teams are probably going to be all top 3 seeds. And on Monday's show, or whenever our next show is, I'm going to do my top 4 seeds overall. And not like 1, 2, 3, and 4, but like, here's my 1 seeds, here's my 4 2 seeds, here's my 4 3 seeds, and here's my 4 seeds. And I think all 4 of those teams will be in there. Purdue probably just outside just because of how things have gone as of late. They all look so good, so tough, so physical. A very good conference this year is the Big Ten, and another one that's right behind them, the Big 12, man. Another conference that is top heavy and good at the top. You got Arizona 21-0, 8-0, perfect. But then you got Houston right behind them. You got Texas Tech right behind them. You got Iowa State, Kansas right there with them, as is BYU. Out of those teams, you're probably going to see I'd say 4 more in my top 4 overall seeds. Maybe 5. Kind of depends on what I'm feeling with BYU. Not all 6. I think Kansas is just on the outside looking in on that one. Big East standings, not a whole lot to talk about here. It's kind of UConn than everybody else. St. John's one loss. Villanova with 3 conference losses, so those two will kind of be fighting for 2 and 3. But again, with how that conference tournament works out, you'll be seeing each other again. So, not much of a difference. It's kind of Villanova keeping above Creighton, above Seton Hall, above Butler. Because if you're stuck in that 4 seed and you're playing UConn in the semifinals for possibly a chance to go to the big dance, I'd much rather play St. John's with something that big on the line. Is the nice way I'll put things. So yeah, and so that will do it. I mean, we've got a lot. Actually, silly me, I forgot to look at the games for this weekend. So tonight we have Washington at Illinois at 8 p.m. on FS1. Illinois, big time favorites in that one. And if scoreboard just decided to freeze real quick, so while we wait for that to load, we'll talk about a little bit what we'll do on Monday's show. So Monday, we will, or again, whenever our next show is, there is some expected wintry whatever mess again this weekend. Shouldn't be nearly as locked down, but so I'm not sure exactly when I'll be back. Okay, so now games for Thursday, January 29th. You got Michigan at Michigan State. Top 10 matchup again for the Wolverines. They won at home on Tuesday. Can they win at home? And now it's showing me games for Friday. Okay. Now we're good. Okay, so ESPN app kind of being all fumbly. Colorado at Iowa State tonight, 6 p.m. FS1, and Washington at number 9, Illinois. That at 8 o'clock on FS1. So 2 games on FS1. You got a Big 12, you got a Big 10. These seem like easy wins for both Iowa State and Illinois, both around 15-point spreads. I'd say if anybody's in danger here, it would be probably Iowa State, just because I know Colorado's got an offense that can put up some points. But I would say both of these teams should fare well tonight. Tomorrow, that's where we've got the Michigan State game at 7 p.m. on Fox. And Dayton at St. Louis. This is a big-time matchup in the A-10. St. Louis looks like one of the best teams. I mean, probably the best mid-major. Maybe. It's definitely a toss-up between them and Miami of Ohio, who plays on, I believe they play on Saturday. They do. Actually got to play on TV this week on Tuesday, I believe it was. Yeah, Tuesday. We'll talk about that game real quick. Miami of Ohio, 21-0, 9-0 in the MAC. Gets a win over another close one over UMass, 86-84. For the Redhawks, 30 points from Ian Elmer. Peter Suter, 13 points, 9 assists. And then Justin Kirby, 13 points, 7 rebounds for the big man. Really fun team to watch. But they will be playing again on Saturday. Friday, listen, if St. Louis looks anywhere near as good as they did this Friday as they did last Friday, look out, because the Billikens are hot. Duke at West Virginia, Cincinnati at Houston, Texas Tech, UCF. Some of these early games, Pitt, Clemson, Virginia, Boston College. The AM not too interesting on Saturday, but you get to the PM. 1 o'clock on TNT, Arizona State. Two teams do not like each other. 1 p.m. at ACC Network, North Carolina, Georgia Tech. Again, two teams that don't like each other. We'll break it down by conference. Keep it simple for you on Saturday. So in the ACC, Pitt at Virginia Tech, or Duke at Virginia Tech, Pitt at Clemson, Virginia at Boston College, North Carolina at Georgia Tech, SMU at Louisville, NC State, Wake Forest, Cal, Miami, Stanford, Florida State, Notre Dame, Syracuse. I mean, SMU Louisville is going to be the big one at 1 o'clock on ESPN. Really, other than that, not much to look out for in the ACC on Saturday. In the Big Ten, though, not many games on Saturday. Just Ohio State, Wisconsin, Indiana, UCLA, which could be a good one at 4 o'clock on Peacock. As is, I believe, the Ohio State, Wisconsin game should be a good one. Rutgers, USC, I don't know about that one. 6 o'clock on Peacock. Rutgers let one get away from them, and USC kind of just did the same. And then 2 middle-of-the-road teams, Washington, Northwestern at 7 on the Big Ten Network. Now to the Big 12, where we got a bunch of ranked teams, where that's where you usually get a bunch of good matchups. Again, Cincinnati at Houston, Texas Tech at UCF. Those could be kind of testy, but I see both those teams handling business. Arizona at Arizona State could be interesting. Could be another 40-point blowout. Charles Barkley was talking about the NCAA tournament the other night on Inside the NBA. Was talking about it's the Arizona Invitational, and he may be right. Baylor at West Virginia, BYU at Kansas. That one at 3:30 on ESPN. Going to be a good one. Hopefully, we'll get to see Darren Peterson versus AJ DeBonsa, if Darren Peterson ever decides to not be hurt. Now into the Big East, where you got a couple of games on Saturday. Marquette at Seton Hall, Georgetown at Butler, UConn at Creighton at 7 o'clock on Fox could be a good one, though. Anytime you're bringing a highly ranked team into an arena like where Creighton plays, it's got a chance to be a bit special. Now over into the SEC, Texas A&M at Georgia. You got two teams that this should be a primetime game, and it's got a crappy time slot, 12 o'clock on the SEC network. Texas A&M, there's actually some interesting play styles because Texas A&M likes to kind of slow things down, play a full court trap kind of and force turnovers, but Georgia also likes to get out and run. So that's going to be a fun one to watch. Texas at Oklahoma. It's not football, but these two teams still don't like each other. Mississippi State, Missouri. Missouri should handle that one. South Carolina, LSU. Kentucky at Arkansas. That's going to be now Kentucky coming to Coach Cal's new house. Kind of opposite of what happened last year when Arkansas got a big win. Now Kentucky kind of in that spot where Arkansas was last year. Maybe a little better off, though. And then Ole Miss at Vanderbilt, 7:30 on the SEC network. But 7:30 on ESPN. You got Auburn, you got Tennessee, you got Rick Barnes versus Stephen Pearl, probably. I would say probably the oldest and youngest coaches in their respective conferences. Youngest SEC basketball coach is Todd Golden. Okay, so is Stephen Pearl? How much older is Stephen Pearl than Todd Golden? Oh, okay, so Pearl is a year younger than Golden. So yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at one Pearl who was 38, and Rick Barnes, who I believe is 72, something like that. We had the same birthday, me and Rick Barnes, but you got two of the more prolific scorers in the SEC: Keyshawn Hall, Jacoby Gillespie. I would say Tennessee would fare well because it's in Knoxville, but home court advantage this year has felt a little less for sure, so to speak. But that one, a great one there on ESPN at 7:30. Again, Tennessee and Auburn. Great matchup. Stephen Pearl comes back to Knoxville as a head coach for the first time to play against his alma mater. I mean, people forget. Stephen Pearl coming off the bench for those Tennessee teams where his dad played, and scoring about 2 points a game. I believe his senior year he averaged about 2 points a game on 12 minutes. Man, team also featured Tyler Summit. So fun time being a coach's kid in Knoxville. So that will do it again for this Thursday edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show. We will be back whenever, following the winter weather this weekend, to catch you up on any of the drama going on in college football. And I'll just go do a quick check because it seems like everything happens while I'm doing this show. So we'll see if something decided to happen today. As of now, don't see anything too crazy going down. So, but we'll get you caught up on that. We'll catch you up on all this weekend's college basketball. I'll have my top 4 seeds and how they shape up. And then we'll slide into some college baseball again next week. So kind of get everybody in the know as the season. Coming up tomorrow, we'll be 2 weeks away. So hope everybody has a warm and safe weekend, and we will see you next week.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.